What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokemon Masterclass. My guest today, you guys know him. He's a local card shop owner, probably one of the best known local card shop owners. He's a Pokemon YouTuber. We got him primed. We got him primed on the round table, and now he's ready to come back for a mano-a-mano discussion. Please, everyone, give it up for Mason from Cardinal Gaming. Mason, what's going on, buddy?
Nav, hey guys, how we doing? Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you spending the time sitting down and talking about some nerdy stuff with me, and hopefully we're gonna have some fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, always gonna have some fun, brother. So the big thing that I thought we'd get into here today, one of the reasons I love talking to you, Mason, is, you know, for me personally, I'm well versed in Pokemon, but when it comes to all the other TCGs out there, the vastness of the TCG realm, you know, I'm not as fluent on that. Now you are. You've been doing this for a long time. So I thought what we would do here today for our conversation is just kind of step through each TCG one by one, kind of give a little bit of a high level overview on what we think of that particular TCG, especially what you think of it, both from its short term, its long term outlook in your opinion. And then, you know, just kind of talk about some of the new products that are coming out for each of these TCGs over the next few months and what you're most excited for.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. This is going to be great. I'm looking forward.
So the obvious choice that everyone expects us to start off with is Pokemon, but we're going to go ahead and save that one for last. We'll save that one for last. And then just so you guys know, those of you that are listening, watching, we'll save everybody that's joining in the live chat. We'll save your questions for the end. Anything that you've got for Mason, we'll go ahead and throw it at him and make sure you put the pressure on him. Bring the heavy
Oh,
questions.
absolutely. No holds barred. I want them all. I want all the questions.
So we're going to start off, Mason. Now, you and I have been talking about this one, and I know there's some controversy around it. We don't really know where it's going to go. Let's just go ahead and start off with Metazoo.
You want to do it first? Okay.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Let's just throw it right out there.
All right. So we all saw Collecticon happen, last weekend? A couple weekends ago? I don't know.
I think so.
Mike, you know, the big owner, he had a big booth down there. He had all kinds of people interested in it. He was giving away free product. He had another guy that's a big YouTube guy. He was giving out product and, you know, sitting in the booth and answering questions and showing people all the information and stuff. You know, Gary King Pokemon, he's always been a huge supporter of it. All the, you know, the guys that he hangs around with, he opens the product a lot. So, you know what? It used to be, I took it as a joke. A lot of the time. But now as things get rolling, I see genuine interest. I see people that are actually, hey, are you going to carry Metazoo? Are you going to pick it up when it releases later this month? Are you going to have boxes and things? So I'm getting actual organic interest in people that are local and online about Metazoo. So I don't know if it's completely a big joke anymore. I think people are actually, they've seen these big influencers and people that are opening this stuff and opening packs and stuff, and I think they think it's actually interesting and they actually want to see what it's all about. So that's kind of encouraging. Right now, the pre-sales for booster boxes, just not the Kickstarter versions, but the regular first edition boxes that'll be out later this month, going into August. You know, the prices are extremely strong. So, and you know, still a couple $100 for a booster box of Metazoo for the regular first edition, which is, you know, for any other card game, that's unheard of, you know,
for sure,
to be that much inflated. You think about what Pokemon was doing. Similar kind of price range when we pick it up from distribution, and Pokemon got nowhere near $200 a box, you know, so it's crazy. And I think, you know, there is genuine interest and people actually want to see, okay, I've seen all these guys open it and seen all the prices and seen all, you know, Mothman and all that. Let's get my hands on it and see what it's actually all about. And of course, this is first edition. I don't know what they're going to do for unlimited runs or if they're going to do unlimited runs. You know, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't do very many unlimited runs nowadays, if at all. It's very rare. So I don't know if they're going to keep that kind of mentality or maybe see how it goes. I don't know. But, you know, there's interest there. And, you know, the Kickstarter boxes, I think, are still going for several $1,000s. And, you know, for couple $100 to get in on a regular just first edition box, some people might bite. Some people might be interested and see it worth the entertainment value to just open a box of Metazoo. Whether they think it's good or bad, or whether they are interested in playing the game or not, I think people are just genuinely interested in the actual game of Metazoo and seeing where it goes. Because for right now, it's pretty white hot.
You know, I was in the same position as you. I had this similar mindset where when it first came out, I just thought, oh, here we go. The height of the TCGs, you know, late 2020. This is just something that is really a knockoff of, and I will say, I have to give them this, that when they really culminated all of this together, they really brought together a lot of the defining features from other trading card games out there. The first edition box, the characters that are very recognizable, and I like that they really introduce a lot of these kind of mythical type of creatures that have always been in the the social consciousness. So there's a lot of really good features in it that I like. But I'm starting to see a changing paradigm here where it was starting out as a joke, and now that, as you said, it's being picked up by more influencers out there, especially King Pokemon, who, I mean, if there was ever someone that you wanted on your side as a promoter, that would be the guy. That would be the guy.
Yeah, I mean, they have, who ever thought that, Gary King Pokemon and Rudy from Alpha Investments would be both fighting for the same game, and people wanting interest in it. It's kind of a weird phenomenon to see happening, but you get big names like that, and people with big crowds of people that a lot of eyes on them. That's all it would take to for a match to light, and that just takes off again, just like the Kickstarter boxes did, and do the same thing that they did.
Yeah.
I don't know what the print run's looking like, or as far as this first edition versus Kickstarter, but even right now, pre-orders for the set for first edition is very strong. And I did open on my channel, I opened a Kickstarter box. They sent me some for free. It wasn't because I'm anybody at all, I'm not, but they were just given LGSs that had some trouble during the pandemic. They sent out a couple boxes for them, and I did a break, and I did it live, and Mike Waddell was in the chat, and he was watching me open the box. So
That's awesome.
He's very interactive. He's very, I don't want to say like the Elon Musk of TCGs, but he is very much like very hands-on. He's very in tune with all the social and everything that's going on with his game, and people are talking about it, and he wants to answer questions. He wants to talk to people about it. He wants to get more people interested in looking at it. So, it takes somebody like that has that kind of just pure interest and push to get the kind of stuff into the next realm of being legitimized. And that's what it takes, is somebody that is really diehard about it. And I can't think of anybody else that's pushing their game as hard as he is. He's doing a great job, and he's really getting his name out there and talking to pretty much anybody he can about Metazoo. So it's hard to knock it, and hard to knock him and all the effort that he has.
Yeah, and that's really all it takes, right? It just takes that one little fire for it to really take off, for the floodgates to open. Now, I'm interested to get your opinion on this. When I look at Metazoo, compared to a lot of the other TCGs out there, when I look at Magic, when I look at Pokemon, when I look at Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and the like, I see that there is almost an equal appeal to collectors and to players. I would lump the investors in there as well with certain things. Yeah, but really it's being positioned towards collectors and players, and there's usually an equal appeal there. When I look at something like Metazoo, I see a much heavier ratio, or I guess you could say push towards collectors versus players. It just seems like there's so many characteristics about Metazoo that just scream collectability. And I don't know anything about the mechanics of the game, about the actual playability.
It's okay. A lot of people don't, so it's okay.
Okay, good.
There's a lot of people out there that don't.
But when I look at that, I say that right there is 100% a collector's type of TCG. Would you agree?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you just look at the cards and you look at just how nostalgic they feel to like the early and late 90s, that kind of era of TCGs and stuff that was out there, when 20-somethings, 30-somethings were growing up and interested in this kind of stuff. The art is very reminiscent. You know, a lot of people knock the art, me included. I'm not going to say that I wasn't. I was not a big fan, but you know, once you get the cards in your hand and you start looking at them and you start going, you know what, this is. I feel something for this. I don't know what it is yet, but I feel something, and it feels, you know, it's interesting. And you know, when I was opening the box and going through the cards, a lot of people don't like the red frame to the card, and I liked it a lot. I like how it stands out. I like how, you know, if you saw and walked in and saw people playing that game on a table, that you'd automatically know it's Metazoo because of the red frame around the cards. All those kind of things are very identifiable and very appealing to people that go, oh, what are they doing over there? What are they doing? What's that game? All that kind of stuff adds into genuine interest in a card game. And there's interest. There's going to be people that are investing and buying and selling and doing all that stuff that, you know, comes with a well-established game. Then we're barely out of Kickstarter. We're barely in first edition, the first release, and it's already it's got a lot of momentum that, you know, again, me included, people knocked it for maybe putting, you know, the cart ahead of the horse in a lot of ways. But maybe right now we're seeing that maybe he had it right all along. Maybe Mike knew what he was doing. But it like I said, it's interesting. I'm gonna start. I will carry it. I'm gonna have, you know, a couple cases. I'm gonna get it in as soon as it releases. I'll see how it does. You know, if people are interested in it, see how well it sells. Of course, if it sells, I'm gonna buy more because that's how it works. You got to buy the game and support it to get LGSs to pick it up and have it on the shelves. You know, and it's gonna be a fine balance between it being affordable and, you know, worth the money and worth the time, and accessible. Again, that's huge for any TCG that's getting started. You have to have a low entry point for things like starter decks and stuff that people can get going and interested in early. If you want to actually have like a player base that you can build upon. The collectors, you know, if they only made this one set of Metazoo and that's all there ever was, collectors are fine. They don't care if it continues on and keeps going. But obviously, Mike and his team, he wants the game to keep printing forever,
yeah,
you know.
Perpetual.
Yeah. So to have that kind of interest and that kind of momentum, you have to have a player base. This is all just a flash in the pan unless the game, you know, starts to form and actually organized play for that starts going. Then you have something that has actual interest and have actual staying power as a TCG.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Like I said, it was all a joke at first, but you know, people keep asking about it, so I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna have it on my shelves as soon as I can get it in. So we'll see what happens.
Well, and everything that you just said there makes me think that there has to be an unlimited run, right? Or if they just continue something like Yu-Gi-Oh, where there's a continual like first edition print, where that price is going to have to come down at some point. Where maybe for the collectors, we understand that there was the 2021 first edition release, and there's somehow like a distinguishing feature on there, and then everything else that comes after that, the price point is much lower. Because, like you said, there has to be the least barrier to entry as possible for the player base in order for it to be established for the long term.
Yeah, and you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, $3.99 a pack or whatever to keep people interested in, you know, $10.99 or whatever it is, $11.99 for a starter deck, whatever. For a smaller TCG that's just getting started, it can be a little more expensive, and it's okay. But yeah, it's got to be accessible to at least, you know, people that want to pick it up and maybe get a couple decks and stuff like that. They're not breaking $100 to try to get into a game. It's got to be a little more accessible than that. But no, it doesn't have to be the $9.99 that, you know, most starter decks for the big three are. So it can be a little more expensive, and that's okay. But you know, it can't be a runaway on you and get really too expensive, because then you start getting people priced out, and you know, you're doing more harm than good with prices in that case.
No, that makes total sense. So just for everybody that's listening or watching, Mason, when can we expect for the Metazoo boxes to start hitting the scene? Card shops, your store, online?
Yeah, let me look at the calendar, because I am not 100% sure. I want to say it's the end of July. I'm not 100% sure. And I'm sorry, I wasn't ready on that. But yeah, I think it's either the 31st or it might be the 23rd. I really don't know. But yeah, I know that the box is going to start shipping here very soon. So I will have them in my hands, ready to go whenever that is released.
Yeah, definitely. So Mason, all in all, Metazoo, are you Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways?
For right now, I'm in. I'm like, if it's on my shelf, I'm in. I mean, that's what it takes. If I can sell it and people are interested in it and I can get through the first bit, I'm in. So yeah. I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna stick with it and see how it does.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. I have the same plan for myself, for our new business as well. We plan on carrying it as well. And why not, right? Why not? You've got to have a little bit of skin in the game. You get in early, and it could be very good, or it could flop. But in this industry, it's always feast or famine, and you gotta be able to feast when you can and weather the famines.
Right, and these card games all know this. They all know that the big burden of taking a risk is on stores, LGSs.
Mm-hmm.
If we have to buy cases of this product to have it on hand to try to sell to people, and in order to foster a player base, I got to have that for several months. So I got to keep buying it and keep buying it and keep buying it, try to keep this product in stock. So we build up enough momentum to where there's a player base. That could be potentially several $1,000s worth of product that I have to invest in for this game that, may eventually just fizzle out and die. And that's the risk that it is. There's been tons of TCGs that I've taken the risk on and lost on. Argent Saga was one of them that was pretty popular here in the East Coast, and it was kind of spreading out west a little bit before the pandemic hit, and it kind of killed that off. So, but I wasn't on that, and I did make a little bit money there, but I was also sitting on a lot of boxes when the pandemic hit and wasn't able to move them. So, probably was a net positive, but it wasn't by very much.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a good transition to move into our next kind of umbrella TCG here, and that's Weiss Schwarz, and some of the things that we've seen coming out with Weiss Schwarz. And the one that I've seen that has me probably the most excited that's coming up here very soon is the Seven Deadly Sins, and which is a very popular anime. It's been very popular for the last few years. And so if we want to, because the reason I bring this one up is Weiss Schwarz is really always introducing new things, right? It's always introducing new TCGs that are surrounded around animes or shows or things like that, incorporating them into the TCG world. So let's go ahead and move into Weiss Schwarz. Let's go ahead and talk about maybe what you're most excited about, things that you've got on your radar.
Yeah, Weiss is actually a game that I sell. Just when those popular anime sets come out, the more popular animes, I stocked it. The intro decks and the starter decks, I don't know what they call them, whatever they call them, and the booster boxes, just because a lot of people just want to open the packs and look at the cards and collect from anime that they like. So Bushiroad is who makes that. Bushiroad also makes Card Fight Vanguard, and another game that I do a pretty big with. So I'm kind of surprised that the crossover isn't there with Weiss, with the rest of my guys that play Vanguard, but that neither here nor there. But Weiss is an interesting game. It is a print to demand. It's very limited. They don't do reprints on that kind of stuff just because I believe it's just with their licensing. They have to pay again for the licensing to reprint. So it's just a one and done when they reprint stuff. So if it's a very popular anime, it makes sense to buy it up and just sit on it, because there's not going to be any more. It'd be a first if they were reprinted again. So with Weiss, again, it's kind of like the My Hero Academia TCG, which I'm assuming we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's built into a universal, I forgot what it's called, universal fighting thing. It's basically another TCG, a greater TCG that has all these spheres of intellectual properties that IPs that are in this one thing, and they can all play against each other. So like you have your My Hero deck, and they have like a Mega Man, for example, in the same fighting universe, and then you can play your Mega Man deck versus your My Hero deck, which is
that's cool.
Weird, but it's a way to do it. I mean, it's keep people that are interested and be able to play what they want. It's a way to definitely keep people buying all your products when they come out. And Bushiroad is doing the same thing with Weiss, where they have all these big popular names and big popular animes, and it's the same thing where it's all kind of contained into its one thing, and if you wanted to just collect into that one thing, you can, but there is an overarching, battle system and way of playing the game where all these cards interact and all these different universes can come together and fight each other, which is kind of neat. It's kind of a weird concept, but not unique, because like I said, there is several other systems out there that do that. But yeah, Weiss is interesting from an investing standpoint. I've seen plenty of Weiss stuff that has sat there and tanked and nobody did anything with it. Nobody wanted any of it. And it went and sat there, and that's the thing about, and this is a good place to probably talk about, aging product, that, there's mentality, especially with people coming from Pokemon and other TCGs, really, that sealed product always appreciates eventually. May not always be instantaneously, but it will eventually go up in price. It has to, because it's just rare. It'll get more and more rare as people open it up, right? So the mentality is there. It's just sometimes it just takes so long, and you have to be committed to it. If you're not committed to it, that's just money that's tied up that you could be making money elsewhere if you had that out of that product. So sure, yeah, if you want to buy pallets of whatever anime of Weiss Schwarz, it truly is a gamble whether or not the demand is going to be there and people actually want that product down the road, and how long it's going to take to get interest built back up to where the prices make it worth your time. So it is very, as far as like investors, there are some that are slam dunks. Like obviously, like Persona 5 would be a slam dunk Weiss Schwarz thing to buy into, because Persona is huge. And again, Attack on Titan, when they did Attack on Titan stuff, huge property. I mean, it's very hard to lose in that scenario with a property like that. Something major would have to happen for you to be out on that kind of stuff. But yeah, some of these other ones that are probably not as popular and not like the big top 10 animes properties, you are kind of taking a gamble. So it's going to be hard to see where investment wise, if that's worth putting your money into and tying it up. So that's Weiss is interesting like that. It's an interesting thing. Like I said, we don't have a player base for it, but it is stuff that we do stock when I see something cool and a good property that I might want to pick up a case or two.
No, for sure. And that's one of the reasons why I really like the release of Seven Deadly Sins, because that has been a very popular anime. I believe it came out in, I want to say 2016, maybe even earlier than that, and it's had a really good track record, a long success over these last few years. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the cards, I'm not sure if it's every card in this set, but there is signed cards by the actual illustrators. Have you heard anything about that?
Bushy Road does absolutely fantastic foiling, like gold foiling and all their stuff. They have probably some of the best card stock and the best printing of any TCG that's out there. And they have their own, actually out of is it Malaysia? Thailand. In Asia, they have their own printers and their own factories that make all their card games. So it's all in-house. It's all stuff that they supervise themselves. There's no middlemaning. There's no stuff like that. They're very particular, and things don't leave the factory unless it's absolutely perfect. So all that stuff is very good quality. I buy and sell like Vanguard from Bushy Road, and I buy them all at near mint without even looking, because I know that it's going to be perfect, because the card stock is immaculate and it's so hardy and it takes a beating compared to other TCGs, and the foiling is so amazing. It's just, they make good products, and it's hard to lose on that kind of stuff. So yeah. What was your question? I went on a tangent. Throw it at me one more time.
No, it's a very good tangent. What I was getting at there is, I believe either some or if not all of the cards in Seven Deadly Sins will have the illustrator's signature.
Yes, they do. Normally they do. Normally it'll be the voice actor or maybe the illustrator or something like that. Just depends who they get for it. But yeah, normally there's always some sort of awesome chase cards like that have, even if you had no interest in a card game at all, you didn't care what Weiss Schwarz was, you didn't care. Anybody that's just into the anime will want that card. Yeah. So that alone, that kind of crossover where you get into out of the nerd spectrum and into the normie spectrum, that's where there's going to be good. When normies want something, that's how it's going to be a good investment. So Yeah.
Well, I mean, can you imagine if we had something similar in Pokemon, where we had the you know, the voice actors in Pokemon that had signed cards, or you know, if Ken Sugimori or Mitsuhiro Arita came back and they said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and put our authentication, our signature on these cards. I mean, you've seen what they can do in a graded slab. Just imagine how crazy people would go for a modern card.
Yeah, and Pokemon is very particular about the artists and what they sign, what they don't, and you know, I think they have a rule that it has to be personalized all the time. If you see anything that's not personalized anymore, it's from older stuff. But yeah, as far as I know, that's a major thing that Pokemon kind of controls, and it's built into the contracts for all their artists and stuff. Now, voice actors, that'd be interesting. I could definitely probably see that happening. They've been so weird to keep the anime out of the TCG for whatever reason. Very rarely do they mix it.
Yes.
Because we'll always have, like, you know, we don't have, you know, Ash and Gary. We always have blue and green and red, and it's always the video game and TCG together instead of the anime. And they've just here recently with, you know, like Ash's Pikachu and Ash's Greninja and all that kind of stuff, integrated the anime into it. For a long time, they were very against it. Other than like Jesse and James, they're the only ones that had crossovers like super early. Yeah. But everything else is really been very secular from the anime. And I don't know why that is, but I'm sure it would do amazing if they did actually devote the time to make, you know, like have the you know, the anime illustrators make a card or something like that. I'm sure it'd do very well.
Well, it's so funny because I don't know of it. The only thing that I know of that they've actually taken directly from the anime was a Japanese exclusive product that was released back in, I believe, 2016, because it was during the Sun and Moon era, and it was something to the extent, I can't remember the exact title of the product, but it was Ash vs. Team Rocket Battle Kit, something to that extent. But it was a Japanese exclusive product, and the kit had cards that were specific to Team Rocket and cards that were specific to Ash, and it was basically the Pokemon that were on their squad. And so you had like Ash's Pikachu, you had Team Rocket's, or maybe Jesse's Mimikyu, and they used the actual screenshots from the anime on those cards. But that is the only one outside of like Topps cards, like Topps Series 3, that actually used a direct clips from the anime.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know if I have anything else to really add to that. I don't know.
Well, it's really, I agree with you. And I was talking about it in my Q&A the other day, where I thought it was crazy that we haven't gotten more, Ash, more of these. Well, I mean, we sort of get it. Like when we go back to like Gym Heroes, Gym Challenge, we had all of the gym leaders, most famously Brock, Misty, but we've never really had that strong resemblance to Ash in any type of card. And I've
like I said, it's been weird. I don't know if they just maybe didn't have confidence that the anime would last maybe early on. I don't know. That's nobody probably expected Pokemon to be making, what are they? I don't even know how many seasons they're into now, but obviously, if you're making the first couple of years, you maybe don't want to put your anime that could crash and burn here in a TCG and kind of immortalize something that people maybe didn't end up liking. But
But it's really interesting, and that's one of the things that excites me a lot about Seven Deadly Sins is really strong anime, strong IP, great company, like you said, producing great products, hardy products, and then you add on top of that illustrator, voice actor, signatures. It just checks a lot of boxes, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. As a collector, investor piece, those are pretty much, like I said, if it's a good branding, good IP behind it, pretty much slam dunk. Hard to lose. Definitely, can't lose what you put into it, at least, I think. So it'd be very hard to do. Something, like I said, something terrible would have to happen to you to lose out, at least from what you paid for a box initially, if you bought it on release. So.
All right, good deal. Well, let's go ahead and move on. We had mentioned it here not too long ago. Let's move on to the new kid on the block, My Hero Academia.
Sure, yeah. A TCG that already has a legacy before it even comes out, and before just I think one of the most hyped for, and definitely the most excitable thing, because everybody likes My Hero. I mean, it's pretty much universal, wide appeal base for the anime. People love it. It's superhero themed. It's got a lot of stuff that going for it that people would like. It makes sense that make a TCG that you play as a superhero and you battle against villains and stuff. It's all built in already for a great TCG to be built out of it. So I think they did do a couple of one standoffs, like what they call living card games, basically where you have decks and you kind of play either against a team or versus. That's existed before, but nothing like where it's a continual, like, I'm going to make several sets of this, like they're going to plan for the new release that's coming out. And I think I talked about on the roundtable how I pre-ordered this over a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
I've had my numbers in for in 2 different distributors forever ago. And it kept getting delayed, pushed back. And even since this year has been pushed back. I guess officially it is now coming out in August. Is that the date that you have? I don't know. I've stopped looking because it'll come here when I get here.
Yes,
it'll get here when I get here at this point, because I don't know. I just don't expect it anymore until they ship it.
It gets there when it gets there.
Yeah, I mean, it's at this point, yeah. And they had some issues, not issues. They had some interesting things happen where Asmodee is a very pretty well-known board game creator here in the States. They're universal, but here in the States they own Fantasy Flight. They own pretty much all the board game rights to things like Star Wars, to Marvel, stuff like that. They do board games for PlayStation properties like God of War. All these Fantasy Flight games are under the umbrella of Asmodee, and Asmodee has been just gobbling up all these little board game manufacturers. And Asmodee actually is the sole distribution channel for Pokemon in Europe, which is
I didn't
an interesting thing. Yeah, it's very bizarre, very weird. Obviously a different branch, but yeah, it's all under the same big Asmodee umbrella. So Asmodee ended up picking up, I guess, whatever the Universal Fighting System creators, I forget, Jasco, I believe it is.
I think so.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Jasco. Yeah. They create the Universal Fighting System TCG, and I think Asmodee may not own them outright, but they definitely have preferred distribution, because just in the past couple months, my sales rep that talks to me about board games is like, hey, there's this new TCG coming out. I don't know if you heard of it, My Hero Academia from Jasco Games. I was like, yeah, I've had numbers in it for a month or a year ago. What's going on? And well, if you want to pre-order through us, you get all these special bonuses and organized play stuff. And it's that's awesome, but I already have 2 pre-orders with other companies at this point, and I don't want to have a third sitting on these pallets of stuff. So I held off on that, but probably going forward, if they continue with organized play and stuff like that, okay. I mean, it's already a company that I'm doing business with, so why not? It just makes sense. But whether or not the game is any good, we'll see. The Jasco Universe World Fighting TCG, whatever you want to call it, has traditionally not been amazing.
They don't have a good track record, do they?
No,
not so much.
I mean, they've done all kinds of stuff. Like I said, they've done Mega Man. They've done, I think they did Street Fighter.
I think that
a lot of huge properties.
Well.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. They've had all these huge names, and nothing's really stuck out to where it's gonna stick around. But maybe with Asmodee helping them, and like I said, with organized play and stuff like that, maybe we'll see this last a little bit longer than most Jasco properties. We'll see what happens. But obviously, there's tons of hype behind it. People are very interested in it. We'll see what happens. Again, I'm in, just from a perspective that I've been in for a year now, so I gotta see it till its end at this point. But yeah, we'll see. I know they're gonna have play mats and sleeves and all the the stuff that comes with a TCG. So all that this stuff is cool, and they actually have partnership with Arcade Tinman, which does Dragon Shield, which is probably one of the more premier players game sleeves. They're out of Europe, so they already have like the sleeves out for the product, and it's not even out yet. They have like My Hero sleeves out. Yeah, so a lot of people are investing in it and picking it up, and it has interest for sure. And I can't wait to get my hands on it because then I can actually start selling it. So we'll see what happens then. But yeah, it's, obviously just probably top tier anime choice. Obviously huge following, like in its prime right now. I think they just released what, 5th season, right? Is that right?
I think so.
But yeah, obviously a very loved anime, and again, kind of a slam dunk just in the environment that we're in. And I, tread lightly with a slam dunk if you can, but we'll see what happens. The property's hot, and there's definitely on release is going to be very much a hype thing that people are going to want to go out and collect the cards and collect the characters and stuff like that. So yeah, we will see what happens in the long term.
Definitely. I hope that this time around, because this isn't the first. 2019, was it Shinobi that released a My Hero set back then, and it floundered and kind of went the way of the Beanie Baby.
Yeah, I don't know who it was. I don't know if they're around anymore. If they are, I haven't heard of them doing anything else since then. But definitely a property that people have been trying to do something with, because it seems like, if you could just get it just a little bit, people interested in picking up and staying with it, that it would hang around and do very well. But yet to be seen. Hopefully Jasco has got it figured out, though. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll get it right this time. All right, so we've kind of gotten through a little bit more of the obscure, a little bit more of the questionable. Let's start moving into some of the more well-established TCGs and kind of the outlook of those moving forward, new products coming out. Let's go ahead and start off with Flesh and Blood. This one has seen its ups and its downs. It's been kind of a crazy ride for Flesh and Blood. So let's go ahead and start there.
It is so funny. When we first got into the building that we're in currently, a couple, like maybe a month or two after we got settled in, I got this care package from some game company in New Zealand that was like, hey, here's a new TCG that we're starting, and it was Flesh and Blood. I had no idea. It was unheard of at that point. Like, no one even knew it existed. I was like, what the heck is this, Flesh and Blood? And of course, it probably had some awesome promos and starter decks and probably like some beta stuff, and I just threw it in the trash, and probably is worth something now. Whoops. But so that was my first introduction with Flesh and Blood. But then probably like, it was a while after that, probably like half a year maybe, like people were starting to say the name and talk about Flesh and Blood, and I was like, okay, I remember that. I remember throwing that away. Yeah, okay. So people are actually interested in this. That's cool. And then obviously, huge speculative market. First edition boxes, the designers say that they're going to model it and be almost identical to the first couple sets of Magic, and kind of learn from their mistakes and what they did wrong and what they did right, and kind of develop the game with collectors and investors and players all being in harmony and working together, where you have your first edition boxes that are for collectors, and to have these premium cards, and they have like the cold foiling cards that look awesome, but curl like you wouldn't believe. So there's that, but they're gonna have to fix that if they want it to be more investable, I think. But yeah, then you have your unlimited boxes. Unlimited boxes are for just the players, so you have this upper echelon of stuff that could potentially be double, triple, quadruple the price of what an unlimited box would be, but it's just for collectors and collectors' interest in that kind of stuff. And the unlimited stuff is for players, and that's kind of like how they balance it out and keep both people happy with what they got going on. So that's how it's been so far. They have started up organized play and had a lot of promotional stuff, play mats and stuff being shipped to stores even long before we even had the ability to run events, or it was advised to run events. So we had all this stuff kind of prepared, and we had these awesome foil cards that we were giving away to people when they bought stuff. I can't give them away as competition winnings, but I got promos to give to people, so that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
People that are investing in this game that at that point was unknown, because it's just started getting pushed. Organized play and interest in playing the game kind of just got started, this time last year, where everything was getting shut down, and really before it even had any energy and wind behind it to where it became any sort of actual, competitive TCG. But obviously, with people playing at home and with webcams online and stuff like that, there's been a little bit of organized play for it. Obviously, now with things opening up, we're going to see how it actually does. I'm yet to see a game played in person of Flesh and Blood. I just haven't had anybody in here. I know the game mechanics are very, very interesting. It's a very nice way of starting out in a TCG, because you kind of like it's kind of like a role-playing game where you kind of like choose your suits of armor and stuff and your weapons and stuff, and that's all pre-game. You kind of put that on the table and like, all right, here's my dude, there's his weapons, with all my status effects, and then you start playing the actual game after all that's set up. So kind of it's an interesting thing with build outs and stuff that you can kind of tailor your deck around with what equipment you have on. So it's kind of a cool idea. It's very different. It is similar otherwise, like turn wise with Magic, and then it's not at the same time. It's kind of like a Hearthstone with, they have each turn you get like an extra ability to play something with a little more stronger. So it's kind of like Hearthstone aesthetics in that, but very Magic back and forth based, I'm attacking, you're blocking kind of thing. So very familiar mechanics to a lot of people, with a awesome, like, customizable ability of your player. So it's got a lot of cool stuff going for it. It's very interesting to watch it and see it, develop even without anybody playing the game. So I think they have another set coming down here shortly. What was the last one that came? Monarch just came out. Boxes were very strong because people were very interested in the collectible aspect of first edition boxes. Of course, they came and went. I had first edition boxes. They were all bought, and the unlimited box came out just as we all expected, and the prices have remained reasonable, so that's good. So it seems like everything is going according to plan as far as they go, but whether or not the investable aspect of it stays, I think is where people are more, I don't know, kind of right now, as far, even more so than like the playable side, because again, we're just now getting started playing the game, and people are interested in playing the game in an organized setting. So we'll see what it does and see how it develops, because right now we haven't had a lot to go off of. But I think it's exciting. I think it's interesting. We'll see. Again, it's another thing where we'll see if it has legs and continues on. But obviously, it has a very strong foundation, a very good company behind it that has probably way more money than they expected to have at this point when they started, just because of the pure speculation and the hype behind the collectability of it. So they send out like amazing, like I'm talking like probably like 8-foot posters to stores and stuff for display purposes we had, and they're just awesome. They're awesome, like high quality materials, and again, they have these big, huge play mats, like table mats, that they're giving out to stores for organized play and all these promos. So they're supporting their game very well. If I can get people to actually play it, we'll see. But for right now, it looks like it's a game that's in its like 3rd or 4th year, when it's really only in like its 2nd year and real first year of getting started to play. I know that if you are familiar with Tulare Community College, I know he's a big backer of Flesh and Blood with their recent kind of like a Grand Prix professional tour of that. So they have a big name that's normally a Magic guy coming over to Flesh and Blood. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of controversial. We'll see.
Crossing over to the dark side.
Yeah, because Magic is kind of they're kind of particular. But we'll see. Obviously a big push there, a big name behind that's behind the game, and other influencers as well. So they are doing maybe the Metazoo approach to getting people interested in the game. We'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, it's I'm excited for it. Like I said, it's something different. It's something that
Mm-hmm.
plays different than every other TCG that's come along and died out. So
Mm-hmm.
that's cool to see. Again, I'm in on it. I buy it. People do buy it from me. We'll see what happens when we start organized play for it.
And what do we have? I haven't noticed anything new coming out for Flesh and Blood. Are you a little more privy to anything new releasing?
Well, yeah, and even when Monarch was coming out, they have like starter decks for them. I had no idea how many there were, how many like characters, what characters they were, the names.
Mm-hmm.
I was having to pre-order stuff. I was having to say Hero 1, Hero 2, Hero 3, Hero 4 because I had no idea and no information and no way of getting that information from the company. It wasn't even on their website that I could attach these decks to. So I was like, okay, well, when it comes out, I was like, okay, which one did you actually want? Did you want this one, or did you want, you know, when people went to pre-order it? So luckily, most people just ordered all 4 of them. But yeah, it's been kind of rocky as far as communication and getting the information out there. And I don't know why that would be, besides just being behind, running behind. But
yeah,
obviously, this product has been in production. It takes a while to get that stuff made. So I don't know why they didn't share the information. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. Could be. But yeah, it's that was an interesting aspect to releasing. And yeah, I don't know of anything. I don't know if they've announced anything of the next set or when it's gonna come out or anything. I have not heard. So we'll see.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything either. So we will sit back and wait on Flesh and Blood. All right, let's go ahead and move now to Digimon. Man, I'll tell you what, this has probably got one of the strongest player bases. People absolutely love playing Digimon. And it's interesting because I wasn't into Digimon at all when I was a kid because I was like Pokemon diehard. And, you know, Digimon to me was like the ripoff of Pokemon. And so I just refused. But now that I'm starting to see a lot of the cards that they're coming out with, the excitement around the playability aspect, it's really, it's got me interested. So let's go ahead and dive into that.
Yeah, I mean, again, probably, and I made a video about this too on my channel, just the release of Digimon, and it's the same people that put out Dragon Ball Super. Generally, not the best at communication, not the best at organized play, not the best at, you know, organizing like pre-orders and allocations and stuff like that. Yeah, but Bandai, I'm sorry, I had to think of it. Bandai is who makes both of those. They just don't have a great track record with TCGs, and I was in on Dragon Ball Super early. I've since fallen off the wagon, even after trying to get back on the wagon. They left me in the dust, so it's kind of a weird situation and how they do that kind of thing, and it all stems behind their they have agreements with basically 2 distributors in the US, GTS and Alliance is the 2, and they're big distributors that most people that have, you know, purchasing from big places and different stores that they're going to be sourcing from anyway. So they're not like they're like obscure, but just that kind of limited range of people that have to go through a certain company to pre-order something. It just reeks of like favoritism, and you know, the same thing with like with Pokemon distribution, where if you got to spend so much money with them to kind of get the favor and kind of get that, you know, the allocation numbers up to where they are, and if you don't, it's kind of like, well, I got this much for you, sorry. And again, early on when it released in October, November, whenever it was, they had a retailer package where they made you take a certain amount of product. I think it was like 32 boxes or whatever it was, and then 2 cases of each of the starter decks, which is fine. It's, you know, I would buy that much anyways, so I wasn't like super upset about that. And again, it's Digimon, and people were hype about it at the time, still are. So it was fine. But then on the initial release, they're like, well, I know I told you that you had to get 32 boxes, but I only have 26 for you. So sorry if you pre-ordered them all. Those guys are just, you know, out of luck on those. Sorry.
Wow.
Which was very awkward. And they're like, okay, but don't worry, we'll get you on the next time around. We'll make sure that you get those and whatever additional allocation you get. the next one come around in January, the 1.5 release of the first box. Those were shorted, and I got no preference on the amount that I got from those either. So again, I burnt twice, which is, I'm like, this is very similar to Dragon Ball Super. Bandai's doing the same thing over again. But obviously, the IP is so strong that it doesn't matter. People love Digimon. People love the idea of Digimon card game. In Japan, the game is doing very well, as done with these first couple sets. Of course, they're just like Pokemon, where they're a couple sets ahead of us, and all these boxes are kind of trying to catch us up to Japan. So it's kind of, we'll see how they do with that, and trying to also like do reprints and stuff where, just because the limited ability of the product, it's hard to get your hands on some staple stuff. That's why these starter decks, the original red and yellow, are so more expensive than the other starter decks, because they have cards in them that are $20-$30 a piece in them, and you get two of them. So yeah, it's going to be a $60 deck, because the singles alone in it are make up the value. So there's a lot of disparity stuff like that, and different kind of promos, and all these boxes that they're rolling out is kind of confusing as well. But I think they're back on track where they're named, because they were doing like 1.0 and 1.5, and it was very confusing for players and for me to try to order stuff. So now we seem to be on track. I still can't get any product. The one time I did get product, I got maybe 2 cases of, and I sold out that weekend. So I have starter decks, but of course I have to price them accordingly, so I don't just sell out of them immediately. So I have some starter decks that are expensive, but until I can get restocks and until that price can come down, unfortunately that's where it is if you want to get started. And it's the same thing with Pokemon. And the thing that I say on my channel pretty much all the time, I get flack for it all the time, is that if I want stuff on my shelves, I have to price it a little higher so I can keep it. That's just the way it is. It's just the price of having something in the here and now. I call it the here and now tax. If you want it here and now, you got to pay a little bit more. It's just how it works. So that's been Digimon so far. Again, no organized play, because it was released during the whole shutdown situation, and yet to be seen of what kind of organized play happens. I'm assuming it's going to be very similar to Dragon Ball Super. With the same kind of like kits and things that they do with promo packs and such. They've done that so far, and have been very generous with promo packs. At least that's something. Unfortunately, now all the promo stuff have no value, which is another thing that Dragon Ball Super had an issue of. If you start giving this stuff out like candy, it's has no value, and nobody wants it. It's the stuff that's supposed to incentivize people to come and play has no value. So when I can't give away packs, I got to give away promo packs, and they're worthless. So there's that.
We've experienced the same thing. It's getting next to impossible to try to get any Digimon products, and you're absolutely right. Dragon Ball Super is falling in that similar category. So I guess let's go ahead and move on to Dragon Ball Super as well.
Sure.
It sounds like you've got a good chip on your shoulder with Dragon Ball Super, or rather with Bandai in general. But what are we looking at with Dragon Ball Super? What's your outlook there? When I first picked up Dragon Ball Super, I was super hyped about it. We were one of the first stores in our area to carry it. We were behind it a lot. We invested, first set out of the gate, cases of it, very, very, faithful to it and believed in it for a long time. And again, just the way that allocations have to work and how they make you basically force you to take product in order to get things like organized play kits and stuff like that. It can be rough, because then those organized play kits are delayed, and then I'm stuck with this product that I can't incentivize people to come and play with. It's just really sloppy, and it just stems with a Japanese company doing the best it can, half a world away, trying to run organized play. It's rough, and I've since then how many times can I get burned until I'm like, you know what, it's just not worth it anymore. And we were kind of at that point when set 5 or 6 dropped, and
it basically had no value at all. And then the next set we couldn't even get because it was so delayed and heavily allocated. So I was like, okay, I guess we're not carrying Dragon Ball Super anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish I could tell you that I have since then tried to put in orders for Dragon Ball Super, and I still haven't got any in the past couple sets. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what happened, but I still can't get any.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's, again, they kind of give a lot of favor to stores in the organized play. So a lot of those stores, if you're not in the organized play system, you kind of get, the leftovers that are left from allocations. And I guess most of the allocations are taken by the organized play stores, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
If stores are running events, you want them to have the product. It's just, I understand it. That's not,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not upset about that at all. But, it's hard to get people interested again and, back into playing if I can't carry your product for people just casually. So,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could tell you about the future of Dragon Ball Super, but I don't know because I'd love to stock it, but I can't. So I don't know if you've heard anything. I know the sets that are coming out are actually very well received.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, the cards still do have great value. The kind of older stuff that was marketed as collectible is they did the same thing with signatures, with
Mm-hmm.
gold signatures on a lot of their stuff. A lot of their higher end, Goku, whatever uber awesome Saiyan. I don't know what I haven't watched Dragon Ball Super. I'm sorry, but whatever they're up to with the Saiyans and how popular all those are. I know there's definitely cards out there that have huge collectible value. Again, kind of the crossover stuff where you have that big market where the normies start coming in and they're like, yeah, I want that card even though I don't play the game. It has a lot of appeal and potential like that with the collectible cards, but as far as I know, that and the sets again been holding pretty good with value. So maybe they've kind of hit a sweet spot where the demand is kind of meeting with the supply, and it keeps the singles have value because you got to basically trade those in to keep playing the game. So maybe they're smarter than me and they're doing a great job. I don't know, but because the prices are staying so strong, obviously, a secondary market is huge for a playing card game. Again, you got to have singles that are worth something so that people don't feel like when the next set drops, they're just out a bunch of money because they have to buy the new shiny thing that beats the old shiny thing that they spent tons of money on. So, as far as I know, it's doing great. I wish I could tell you more, but I'm not able to get it. So maybe I'll try the next set. It's weird.
It's really unfortunate too, especially considering the fact that you were so loyal to them and putting in these orders early on. It's a shame that they don't pay that forward to the early adopters, moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know what happened. Again, it could be something totally legitimate, and I'm just making a big stink about it. But as far as I know, what was happening with that set after that was that a lot of that product was getting funneled to other larger stores like down in Florida and down in Texas and places like that where these big conglomerate stores have plenty of players and plenty of actual buyers of the product. It's not that it's not going to a good home that people are going to buy it, but it did seem like a lot of the stuff was going elsewhere in pallets and pallets instead of out to around the country like it probably should have been. So we'll see, and maybe that was not the case, but again, with these limited amount of companies that are able to distribute for you, that can happen. And I'm not surprised if that was the case. So
yeah, for sure. And for everybody out there, I believe for Dragon Ball Super, the new products releasing over the next few months, I think we've got a Unison Warriors Cross Spirits that I believe is releasing in August, if I'm not mistaken. And then we also have an anniversary set, which the actual artwork and the box itself is still in development, but I believe that is releasing in September, which should be a lot of fun. Anniversary sets are always big.
Yeah, I think the anniversary sets, they normally put a lot of alternate arts and a lot of reprints and that kind of stuff. If it's the same as they've done early on with the anniversary boxes, which I think they haven't changed from that. But so yeah, if they need stuff like reprints and restocks and stuff like that, That's normally where it happens in these big anniversary boxes. So,
Mm-hmm.
good to see that they're still doing all those, and maybe I'll be able to get some anniversary boxes. We'll see.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. I think for all of us, we're all keeping our fingers crossed. All
Yeah.
right, so let's move on now. We're kind of entering into the final stretch here, the big three. We'll go ahead
the big
and
boys. Yeah.
the big boys on the block. Let's start with Yu-Gi-Oh.
Okay. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh is of the three, definitely the lesser that is played in my store. There is a fairly large store that kind of has a stranglehold on the Yu-Gi-Oh players here locally, so I don't do a lot with it, unfortunately. I do know I do stock a lot of sealed product for it, and that does very well for us. Seems like here recently they've done very good about. I know they just had the Egyptian God starter decks that were super popular. I sold out of those almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
They had King's Court is coming out, I think this Friday.
Yes.
Organized play stores can sell it tomorrow. So if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, King's Court, which is a very has a lot of hype behind it. People are calling and asking if we're going to have it. So that's always a good indication of people that are interested in buying it. So they've been doing pretty good here recently, and Konami's always has been. I mean, that's why they're still here and able to hang with the big boys. Konami's. I say that, and Konami is actually Yu-Gi-Oh is the most popular of all the big three. I don't know if you knew that, Nav. Huge in Asia. Obviously, they're huge populations and huge player base in Asia, more though than the States. So we kind of think of it as like the lower of the ones here in the U.S., but nationwide or worldwide, they are very much in the focal point and kind of like setting and paving the way for the other guys even sometimes.
Wow.
So yeah, I was talking about with stuff like first edition stuff here recently. Yu-Gi-Oh has been very against reprinting things in unlimited for whatever reason that is. They are much more apt to putting the more popular stuff that comes out and the more played stuff that is maybe expensive now in later sets down the road. So it kind of and they've done that for years where to stay competitive, they kind of have the new hotness of the decks that come out in a certain set, and then they'll come out with like a gold set or something like that where they have reprints and stuff in them, and they'll put those kind of cards in those, kind of keep the price down. But Yu-Gi-Oh always seems to have like one card that runs away on them and is like super expensive, and it's totally because it's played and it's very good, and and then again, next set or two down the road they'll reprint it and it's going to be down to being a $5 to $10, $15 card where it was $60, $70, $80 a piece sometimes with a lot of these cards here recently. So Yu-Gi-Oh is very interesting. It's unlike the other markets in card games, but obviously it's working for Konami. They're like I said, they're doing great. They're huge company and huge TCG. Just tons of people still love Yu-Gi-Oh. Again, it's not that it's not a big game. It's just in the city. It's just there's just a store that does it bigger and better, and they can have Yu-Gi-Oh and I'll have Pokemon, and I'm okay with that. So we'll play that game and kind of play to our strengths. But Yu-Gi-Oh is doing great, and again, even for having no singles here locally and no organized play for it, we still sell a ton of it. So that speaks to something, and that how popular that the game is.
Yeah. No, it's it's been around for so long too. I think that's one of the big tests for a TCG out there is it's that test of time. How long can they stay relevant? And Yu-Gi-Oh's done that. They've found a way to stay relevant over all these years, and they really started off on the right foot back in the early 2000s, where they developed their whole brand, even the anime and everything, really centered around the card game, where it just transitioned really well. Whereas Pokemon, it was sort of a an offshoot, right? It was an offshoot of the games.
Sure,
It was an offshoot of the anime. And Yu-Gi-Oh, on the other hand, where it's just all centered around the
They're
cards.
literally playing the cards in the anime. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very weird. It's very weird. Card Fight Vanguard actually does that very similarly in their anime. It's kind of a weird thing, but yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh was kind of like the front runner, and that was unique in that way, that they were super, just kind of weird when you think about it, but it worked, and it's worked for them, you know. And it's another of the, you know, like Pokemon and Digimon, and it's kind of like if you grew up with it, you're still, you know, you have a soft spot for it, and maybe, you know, you'll see you know, a character like the Egyptian gods and stuff like that, and you'll be like, hey, I want to pick that up again. For like every couple years, they'll reel you back in with, you know, stuff that they re-release. So they're very good about sprinkling in, you know, new stuff and then combining it with the old stuff, because, you know, they have no rotation in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's all pretty much, you know, from the beginning of time till now, it's all playable unless it's banned or limited. So it's, again, very, very difficult to make a balanced game that plays that way. And obviously power creep is a thing, and, you know, newer stuff is going to be stronger anyways, but
yeah,
it's just a weird concept that other games have tried and failed miserably with balancing issues and trying to keep up with that kind of stuff. So Konami's the king of you know, unlimited card game, and, you know, kind of keeping the, you know, old players and new players kind of integrated and playing with each other.
Well, yeah, it's I totally agree with you. Konami's fantastic. They've got such a great track record, and so yeah, guys, be on the lookout. King's Court releasing this Friday. I'm sure that there'll be some pre-releases out there and all that good stuff. So King's Court, newest one releasing.
Pre-releases would have been last weekend actually.
Oh yes,
they do a week things, but yes, you're right. Yeah.
So yeah, King's Court. Be on the lookout for that. Now, we have made it to our big boys, and we're gonna go into the old man teaching all these kids the new tricks.
Man. Yeah,
Magic the Gathering. You
know, you say old man, but the old man's been pulling out some new tricks here recently, and it's kind of been working. It's kind of been all right. Magic is just such a it's, you know, ubiquitous with TCG. It's like when you think of a trading card game, it's Magic. Yes. That is the trading card game. That's it. And, you know, a huge company obviously does very well. Organized play, the most, you know, huge millions of players. Obviously, they have MTG Arena that's doing very well with online and stuff that they're running, and obviously been very smart about kind of, you know, preemptively maybe making people think about digital TCGs a little bit, you know, kind of getting people primed for that kind of stuff. But that being said, they do take pretty good care of organized play stores and local game stores. They helped out a lot in giving LGSs during the shutdowns free mystery boosters, which was a very good product to give away. They gave away that to every store, not just stores that were in the they're kind of like, they have a premium WPN premium, but all the organized play stores got free boxes of stuff, which, you know, is awesome. That's an awesome thing to do for people. So they often get a bad rap about, you know, selling on Amazon directly and you know, going online and WPN premium being so hard and kind of like almost like a cult that you have to get into to be one of the cool kids. But Magic is still, I think, very much cares and spends a lot of time worrying about organized play in person, with paper, with the TCG, you know, sitting across the table from people. And I think Magic will be played, is one of those games where it's going to be played, you know, 50 years from now. People will be still playing Magic, even if it doesn't exist. People will be playing Magic in some form in 50 years. Yeah. And I don't know if I can say that about any of the other TCGs. It's just that kind of ingrained feeling of, you know, a game, literally a game, like a board game or like chess or like something like that. There's Magic that's going to be doing its thing. So enough about that. you want to talk about modern stuff and worried about what's happening now. For a long time, Magic was very staunch about changing how their cards looked. They kind of flirted with it a little bit, but here recently, with the latest couple sets, Strixhaven was the latest standard set. They have Mystical Archive cards, which are insane. If no one's ever seen, look up Mystical Archive Magic cards and show and look and see these cards and tell me and look at that card and tell me that looks like a Magic card and not like a revamped new TCG. Such beautiful art, such amazing color schemes and things like that. Very strong. Who's calling me at 8 o'clock? That's okay. Sorry, it's gotta ring. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's just they've slowly been starting to change things, you know, and Hasbro owns them now, and well, I say now, they've owned them for a long time now, and you know, Hasbro is obviously a huge game company. They're kind of priming the game to be changing and kind of be more friendly for everybody and kind of more inclusive. You know, they kind of got rid of a lot of, you know, questionable themed cards and you know, things like that, and kind of really moved it more towards the family friendly. Oh, let's not say family friendly. You know, kind of like a young adult kind of a thing that you can be okay with your teenagers playing, and you know, it's not going to be too crazy or weird for them to be into. But obviously, they're trying to have all these different formats of stuff, which is kind of crazy. Commander's huge. We do a lot of Commander here locally. That's basically where there's one card in this 100 card deck, and you kind of have to build with kind of like a leader of your army, a deck around this commander is what they call it. So that's very popular. It's multiplayer. You can have more than 4, but 4 is typically.
If you can go back to the first time we met, what advice would you give yourself regarding being in a relationship with me?
Standard, which is like the same thing with Pokemon, kind of like the past right 2-ish years of stuff, and then they have Modern, which is basically like expanded for Pokemon, where it's kind of 100 card deck past, and you kind of have to build back a ways now. Probably kind of like a leader of almost probably close to 10 years of Magic. So kind of got this other stuff for people, you know, new players, old players, to kind of have, you know, some value left in their decks and stuff going forward. They, for a long time, Modern was in a good spot, but here recently they've had Modern Horizons 2 just released a couple weeks ago, and had some fantastic prints of stuff that is very well needed in the game, not just in Modern, but in general. Tons of good playable stuff, cards that they refer to as fetch lands. They were very expensive for a very long time. I'm talking like $30-$40 a piece for some of these to play in decks that pretty much required them. And for a long time, Magic was, for whatever reason, against reprinting them. But here now, we have those reprinted in this Modern Horizons 2, and all these amazing different kind of arts and foils, and they have like etched cards is what they call, which look very similar to Flesh and Blood's cold foiled cards. So they're kind of mixing all this stuff together and kind of just experimenting in a weird way that maybe hasn't been that way for a lot of things here recently. So it's weird. It's a weird way to be, or a weird time to be in with Magic, because they're just trying so much different weird stuff. It's really interesting to see it all kind of come together and see what happens and see what works. So it's very interesting. Obviously, if you talk about investing in cards, Pokemon is up there, but Magic is in another realm of you know, expensive cardboard things that is huge. You talked about the, you know, the first printings of stuff with your Moxes and your big bad boys of old printing of stuff. Yeah, it's definitely like the adult playground if you want to think of Pokemon as like you know, just for kiddos. Definitely a much more robust, well-rounded investment type of field of people that are in and investing with Magic. So kind of I wouldn't say in a different league than Pokemon, but definitely a different mentality, a different kind of a person would be investing in that. I think a lot of people that invest in Pokemon have nostalgic for it in some sort of way or have some sort of connection with it. Magic investors can treat it like any other investment, really. They it's just something that has value and will go up in value because it's a collectible and it's going to go up in value. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be, they don't care what's on the card. It's just it's for investing. So that's kind of the mentality of collecting and investing in Magic as compared to Pokemon. But yeah, Magic is, I mean, I could talk forever about the weird things that Magic does and has done even in the past year. But yeah, I mean, I'm rambling forever. Is there anything in particular, Nav, you want to talk about with Magic, or any thoughts that you have seen that maybe you
one of the things that I love that they're doing recently is these crossovers that Magic has, and now we've got the Dungeons and Dragons crossover that's coming out. Whoo, boy, I am excited to see that.
It's so bizarre it's taken so long, and so they've had under the Hasbro umbrella D&D and Magic. Magic was created to play in between D&D sessions. The idea and that we haven't had any sort of integration with the two is really like shocking. It's like, what have you been doing? Like, how did this not come up in any sort of meetings 10 years from now, let alone today, So it's very exciting. It's a long time coming. It's long overdue, and will probably not be the first time it's done, because I think it's going to be a regular thing that has the sort of crossover potential. D&D is obviously huge, very popular. Again, not just for nerds anymore. It's getting kind of a normie. Everybody, can play D&D. It's not just for nerds. Magic's kind of getting the same thing, as they get more and more family friendly, less abrasive, less edgy, kind of gets more in this middle ground of, a game that everybody can play. All that kind of stuff gets together, and it's to pull from all this kind of people to try to get them into playing and interested in this stuff. Hasbro's very smart about, they know what they're doing. They are masters at this point.
Yeah.
Of figuring out what the market is and how to get the market situated with D&D and Magic. And then you plop those together, you're making pretty much guaranteed bonds and sticking bonds because of how similar they are. And people that maybe have never played D&D before that play Magic, they're going to go jump ship and play D&D now. And people that are playing D&D and never played Magic before, they might just try it out and see what it's all about. Pick it up on Magic. So I sell both of them in the store, so I'm excited for it, because that just means people will be buying both. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just it's awesome to see.
And I just want to check in with the chat real quick. We were having a little bit of trouble, it looked like, maybe with the connection there. It might have been glitching. You guys let me know in the chat. I'm checking in on YouTube as well, and it looks like everything is good to go. But I think our stream might have dropped there for a sec or two.
Well, that's no good.
But I think we're back up and running. Guys, let me know in the chat if everything's going all right. My stream, I just see it spinning right now. But if I go on to YouTube, it looks like the video's playing fine. So see, I see it okay. So I don't know. I haven't seen anything weird. So I've just been going on and on. I didn't know. We should be good though.
Okay. If not, let us know, guys.
Stop twice.
I do have the chat pulled up.
Okay. Looks like everybody's good. So we will go ahead and continue on. Just make sure. Okay.
All right. Is there anything else with Magic, or are we done with Magic now?
Anything else that you want to touch on here? Anything that is exciting or that you see coming down the line? Like I said, I'm just really excited about the crossovers. Anytime that you have a collaboration or a crossover like that, it's just really exciting, and it brings in two different dimensions, right? When you've got Dungeons and Dragons, Magic, two huge hobbies, two huge player bases coming together. I mean, you can't ask for much better than that. No, and like I said, it's a long time coming, just because it's
it's very much the same but different. It's it's two different very distinct markets and two very distinct games, but the theming is generally the same. So if you like, the fantasy, dragons, that kind of stuff, they're in both games. Why not push them together? And ideally, you should be liking the same thing if you kind of like that fantasy kind of stuff. So yeah, Magic's fine. Magic's doing fine. They're doing fine. They
always will be. Yeah.
No, yeah. Again, in 50 years, I would not be surprised if they're still cranking out sets and if they're still creating whatever they do in 50 years, because it's just that kind of a just pure powerhouse of a property.
Definitely. All right, Mason, we have made our way to our final one here. I don't think we have that much to say about it, but I guess we'll touch on Pokemon. Yeah, I'm sure some of you out there probably heard about that before.
I don't know. If people want to know about Pokemon, or maybe they don't know what it is, we can talk about, give little intros about. No, I'm kidding.
It features this yellow rat here behind me, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's the only one I know.
And hey, talking about dragons, they've got a dragon as well, so maybe they'll do all right.
Yeah, maybe they should cross over with Magic and do a Pokemon. They'd never do that. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but that'd be crazy.
And the silver lining there is that they did a crossover with Magic, who the producer or the manufacturer, Wizards of the Coast. We all know what happened between Wizards of the Coast and Pokemon.
Yeah, stupid me. I'm like, yeah, that's so silly. Yeah, but yeah, let's talk Pokemon. Let's see what's up. So, Chilling Reign, doing good. I would say faring better than I expected as far as pricing and everything. Singles are looking great. A lot of cards are doing just fine. If you look at the averages of card singles, not a huge drop of stuff like you would see in a normal release. That would mean that people are still interested in buying and moving through these singles and keeping the demand and the prices high for loose cards, which is great. That's awesome to see. That just means that people are still collecting. There's still that player base, and still not the player base necessarily, but collector base of people that are interested in just Pokemon in general. So I did do a kind of off the hilt video today on my channel, where I talk about starting a store and how sealed is probably not the safest place to be right now. So if you want to talk about that, we can. But
yeah. Let's go ahead and touch on that, because I haven't seen the video yet myself. So let's.
You haven't? Okay.
You've got me enticed.
So obviously, the past 10 months, 8 months, whatever, with sealed just being pretty much impossible to get, prices were crazy. Now, product is kind of still not. You have, again, a feast or famine situation where you have waves of the stuff come in, and like I just got 100 Chilling Reign ETBs. That's early from the wave 2 that should be getting. I don't have any booster boxes. I'm actually down to my last 4 cases of Chilling Reign booster boxes, so I did not expect that to happen. But daily I'm selling booster boxes on a daily basis of Chilling Reign still. So it's doing just fine as far as sales and moving through. But obviously, prices have gone back to what I call normal range. Anything between 100 and I'd say 130, 35. MSRP technically booster box is 145, right? So anything within that range is normal. It's about what we have always been seeing. And lower down in the price range is completely normal. People saying booster box is down to $100. That's kind of where they've always been on the low. They've always been that way, and people are shocked to see that. And it's just like, no, guys, it's go this time last year. That's what they were. That's just how it has always been. So. I think it's a lot of it, people reacting, and maybe newer folks that aren't used to seeing this kind of stuff going, oh my God, booster boxes are so cheap. And reality is that yeah, that's what they've always done. So a lot of people kind of just surprised by that, and that, yeah, if you have a huge position on the standard sets that we've all been warning you, they're going to reprint the hell out of this. You need to be careful with it. No YouTube channel have said stock up on standard Pokemon product because it's all getting reprinted. This is not a shock to anybody. The prices are not a shock, or should not be a shock to anybody. And the way that people are thinking, where there's scalpers and just all these people still making money off Pokemon, they're gone. They've moved on as soon as it turned.
Yep.
There's been no more scalping. There's been no more interest. As soon as Target and Walmart had the faucet of product open back up, the prices have been back down, and it's not worth the time. And people can go out and find it on a regular basis now. Even with Vivid Voltage, obviously a huge not crash, because it's where it should be now, a huge price correction, down to where it should be, in the 100 to 130-ish range. So this is normal. This is welcome to normal Pokemon. This is what you should be expecting. And outside of pandemics and weird circumstances, that outside influence and all that stuff hitting all at once, this is normal. This is what stores and LGSs and all these people that have been buying and selling Pokemon for years before now are used to. This is where we're at. This is our home. This is our comfy space.
Equilibrium.
And yes, yeah. So yeah, that's what I talked about in my video just today, and that modern pricing and modern standard product. It'll be hot. Evolving Skies is a phenomenal set, probably the best standard set I have seen since running my store, and I don't think that's any sort of hyperbolic thing. All the EVs and Dragonite and Rayquaza in one set, all together, alt arts, secret arts, all these amazing stuff. Nothing tops it. There's been nothing else that has the demand that this set will have.
Right.
In a standard set, again. Specialty sets, different animal, obviously. But for a standard set, this is it. This is as hype as it's going to get. And boy, is it hype.
It's hype.
Yeah, so huge interest in the set. Obviously, singles we can expect to do very well and stay very popular and very high. I mean, look at the Japan Eevee Hero sets. Those singles are still 90, 80, upwards of that for some of the alternate arts for some of these cards.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. That's unheard of for a Japanese set. That's crazy. That's insane. So, we can expect the same from the English set, and the first month or 2 months or however long it lasts. I would not expect anything different from the English version. That being said, it is still a standard set, and it is still probably being printed now, has been printed for forever since, preparing for this, and after this, we'll be printed again. So there's not really any weird motivation or, any reason to stock up on this, and unless you're putting a lock on it and it's going to stay there for 5 years, to run out and gobble this up to invest in. It's Pokemon has put their foot down and said, this is silly. Let's stop this. Let's make sure this is accessible for the long haul, at least for the time that it's in standard. That's what they've shown so far. That's obviously what we're seeing with these huge numbers with Battle Styles and Chilling Reign. I wouldn't expect this to be different. Sure, the demand is higher than it's ever been, but I think Pokemon has been printing all this time up to now of this set, so I'm not surprised. And again, the run and the unique situation that caused the price inflation for that stuff, it's a truly spectacular event that we should not expect, yearly or whenever some big popular thing comes out. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that, again, like we've talked about earlier in this conversation, where these type of products, when you're looking at sealed products, to me, you have to have those diamond hands. You have to be able to hold it. If you're going to take a position on this, you have to be able to sit on it for a good amount of time. How long that is, I can't tell you. You can't tell you. You can't tell them either. But if you're going to have a position, you have to be able to sit on it for a long term. It's a long-term type of investment. Now, when I see the things that are happening right now, I do see opportunities out there. Like when I look at battle styles and I see battle styles falling under $100, I see it falling down to like $90. I think that's an opportunity because I don't know that I see it going below that threshold. I could see it maybe dipping into, that $80 to $90 range, something that we've seen with previous sets in the past. I can remember picking up Evolutions for like $75 a booster box, Roaring Skies, $75, $80 a booster box.
Right.
And this is not if you're somebody like yourself or me that's picking this up at distributor or wholesale price. To me, that presents an opportunity to people out there that have both of those facets in mind, right? Where you want to pick it up for basically one of the cheapest prices that I think you'll be able to get, and you have the full expectation that you're going to sit on it for 3 to 5 years, and then check it back again and see where the secondary market's at.
No, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you are buying to hold, now's the time. Absolutely. But yeah, if you want any sort of quick return on anything, Modern's not where it's at. No. Standard Pokemon is not where it's at. It's just not. Again, this last year was a complete anomaly. It's unprecedented and was probably, even with the circumstances, probably unwarranted, I would say still. Just because, again, this is the largest IP in the world, running a TCG that is among the most popular in the world, and that they sold out of everything for months and months is crazy, and that'll never happen. It'll never happen again. It'd be very, very hard for that to replicate, and for that sort of supply to happen and be dwindled that much. I think that they are preventing that from happening because obviously they see it as lost revenue. They just won't let it happen.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And when I look at, I'm less inclined to believe, especially in individual cards from mainline sets. I think that if you're wanting to flip anything or you're wanting something that's going to be of significant value, even in the near future, you're going to want to look into some of the subsets, or you're going to want to start looking at more obscure things. These, like right here behind me, like the Eevee Heroes. When's the last time that you saw a Japanese set that had so much hype and that the prices have remained so steady since its release? I mean, I can't tell you when. And so that's where I think the real opportunity lies when you're looking at modern individual cards. And beyond that, the other opportunity, I think, it would be with sealed products where you're holding it for a long period of time.
Yeah, I mean, Japanese sets, just in general, just don't perform this way. They just don't. The type of consistent where there's not just a flooding of this available at every, street corner and game store and any other places that stock it is kind of crazy. And obviously the big hype when the collector's box for Eevee Heroes came out, the themed one has like the cottages and all those, the Espeon VMAX came in, the special art of that. The hype behind that it's never been seen. Never. Yeah. So yeah, this is just very unheard of for Japanese sets. English, this where all the EVs are on one set has never happened before. Sure, there's been promotional products. There's been, a large amount of them in certain sets, but where they kind of just are the feature of a set is kind of unique, kind of special. So It's huge. It's huge, and it's going to be huge. And obviously, Celebration is going to do its thing. Still a lot of unknowns about that, but a lot of unique products, a lot of very special, like the Pikachu VMAX statue that's in it, very reminiscent of the Rayquaza shiny box that was in Hidden Fates. Yes, Hidden Fates. I get it mixed up because Shiny Fates and all that. It's a mess. But yeah. But obviously, look at the price of that box right now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very hard to look at this Celebration box coming out and not go, why wouldn't this perform the same way? If not better.
Yeah.
It's you kind of look at these cues from the past and you look at where things are now with these specialty sets. And like, okay, this is doing this now. So if this gets to be that same age, you can expect it to perform, at least equally or, around that same range. The same thing with the argument about Hidden Fates ETBs and how, before the reprint happens, they were several multiples over MSRP. And that when they did a re-release, they obviously pushed price down and prices went down to, I don't think they ever really hit MSRP with the reprint. I don't think they ever did.
I don't think so either.
It'd be, we maybe got close, but there is no reason to think that that same ETB is not going to go back up to that same price. It's already been there. History has already shown us that it's going to explode again and go up in price as soon as the faucet gets turned off on the supply of it. It's just that good of a set. It's kind of got that demand. It's probably one of the best specialty sets that's out there, if not the best. Everything points to it performing well. So again, you take lessons from that kind of stuff and seeing these kind of things where you're like, okay, if I buy Hidden Fates ETB right now, that there's no reason, if I hold it, and I actually hold it, and don't sell it before it does its thing, not when it starts to go up, but when it starts to flatten at the top, ride it to the top, it's elevator. Hidden Fates is an elevator. It's going to rise people that actually park their money into it, and it's going to take it to upper echelons. We've already seen it happen.
Yeah.
And so long as these pack breakers and people are still opening this product and still selling these packs and still opening this product, and people still just love Hidden Fates, they're going to keep opening the product just on their own. And the card singles are going to be still keeping pace with that kind of stuff. All this stuff pushes that price up to being a true collectible, speculative item that you can actually expect to perform.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why, if you look at, okay, if that did this, you look at something like Celebrations and say, okay, yes, if I hold this for a certain amount of time, if it's following all this other stuff and that everything remains the same, that this shouldn't perform the same way, right? So it's that kind of stuff, and that kind of, it's research, it's homework, it's effort that you have to put in. But like I said in my video today, there are no more free attendees.
Yeah.
We are paying regular price for attendees right now. There's no special on them. We're paying regular price for all the stuff. All the easy meals are done, and you have to be smarter. You have to be more educated. You have to be taking examples and applying them to things that are out or going to be out, and plan your moves accordingly. And if you want to be in it for the long haul, that's how you got to think.
Yeah.
And not, not everybody's going to do that. And some people don't want to do that. Some people aren't going to want to put their money into a product for 3, 4, or 5 years. It's understandable. There's plenty of people out there that are like, okay, I see something like Cosmic Eclipse and the Secret Rares. If you were smart and you saw that those performed like they did, that, these Secret Rares or, maybe these other stuff that's in these modern sets, when they are at their floor, it would make sense that they're going to do the same thing or perform very well, even if they are in a standard set. Cosmic Eclipse was a standard set. So again, you look at this stuff and kind of draw these correlations to stuff when you got to just do the homework and put in the time. And if you wanted to play this game, play the game after reading the rule book. Like, just don't go and kind of do whatever you want and just guess and hope that you're doing it and playing right. this has all been done before, and it's lays in front of you. And the same thing, if you're worried about investing or maybe making these same kind of investment ideas and grading cards and buying raw cards and grading them and choosing the right ones to do that with and make money, there's already so many resources out there that have been on YouTube for years. Long before you and I and anybody else, all these people that have been doing this and running businesses successfully for all this time. Chances are, if you keep watching them and doing what they're doing and learning from them, you're more than likely going to be okay. They're not going to be. They've been in the game long enough to know how this is all going to play out. It's new, flashy stuff, but it's the same premises. So it's at the end of the day, it's
like Scott Pratt says, older, rare, minter, better. I mean, if you really use those principles,
not apply.
Yeah, if you really use those principles, you will do just fine if you just apply that. Now, not everybody can do that, right? Not everybody can apply those principles because there's
it takes some, like I said, it takes some research and it takes some knowing, what's better, what's minter, what's it's you got to have a barometer for that kind of thing and kind of be able to look at something and be like, okay, of this set, these are the 3 cards that are probably going to be the big chase cards, and then obviously the big chase cards, the highest rarity, the highest value. You think about grading those and finding those in the best condition, and taking care of them, tucking them away, or grading them. And more often than not, we act like it's extremely difficult, but if you put in the time and you look at the research and you follow along to people that are trying to help you learn to do this, like you and I trying to help people to understand, just apply these same kind of lessons to the future, and more than likely you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, and really, when you start doing that, when you start increasing your knowledge, and I can speak from experience in this, because when I got back into the hobby back in 2016, I really didn't know much at all, and so started picking up things, and then you start to see trends, you start to see patterns, you start to see these correlatories that you bring together, and you're like, you know what? This looks just like something I saw 2 years ago. This looks just like something I saw a year ago. And you see where these things go, and you can start to have, it's still speculation to a certain degree, but it's a much more educated type of speculation. And you've got strong data and past history to back it up, rather than just being guessing or just expecting, like many people did over 2020, that everything was going to go up, because it did. And using that as like as a precursor or a determining factor of things to come, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, I mean, again, you could have chose anything, literally any card, and said, this is going to do well during this year and this uptick. It's not about what rose, because everything rose. It's about what falls and what stays in the consciousness and what doesn't lose all that momentum. That is going to be where the educated people outperform the people that just threw a dart and chose a Charizard that was printed into oblivion, and it's probably not going to do well. It's just, and
it makes sense, right? And it makes sense in a lot of ways, and I'm pretty sure you've talked about it. I know I've talked about it. A lot of people have talked about it, where it made sense of the cards that had such a meteoric rise over 2020, because the vast majority of people that were getting into it were, roughly in that millennial age range. It's the cards that we grew up with. It's the cards that we had in our closet collecting dust and cobwebs. Those were the cards that really accelerated. And then there were so many that just went under the radar that were actually all of these different factors, that older, rare, minter, better, those kind of all went under everyone's line of sight. And now it's starting to change. That shift is starting to change. People are getting more knowledgeable. They're starting to understand the vastness of the hobby and starting to understand what really does have that inherent or long-term value. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and again, when these big, huge runs of things raising in prices, anybody and everybody is going to jump on and try to get a piece of that. But for those types of people that are genuinely interested, and even if you want to do this just casually, just like take a couple $100 and be like, hey, I want to buy this card and see how it does. There is no reason why if you follow along and truly do care and gain some sort of knowledge about how TCGs operate, how, you know, when you make a competitive game, how competitive cards are going to be the ones that get all the full arts and the alt arts, and you know, popular Pokemon are going to be the ones that are the strongest, because duh, that makes sense. It's, you know, if you don't know what the popular Pokemon are, though, you know, how are you going to choose one over the other? Like Tyranitar doesn't look like a popular Pokemon, but he definitely is a popular Pokemon. And it's pretty big on people, whereas normal people are just like, that's just a big dinosaur. Why would people like that? There's just stuff like that where after you put in the time and learn, that you can predict these things and expect for things are going to go. And Pokemon's going to keep doing the same things over and over that are successful. Hidden Fates was huge. An amazing set. Of course they're going to make a set that's just like it, because they sold so well of it. Of course, they're doing the same thing you are trying to do, and you make money. And if you see something do well, you're going to duplicate it and change it a little bit and make it even better. So yeah, all this stuff is you know, I act like it's really obvious when I know it's not, but to people that are in the hobby and in the interest, that's who you want to be listening to, is people that have been here and know and have seen what happens and what's going on, and that it's going to happen again, and all the same stuff is going to keep recycling, because that's how popular things work.
Yep.
So
exactly. Well put, my friend. Very well put. And I love talking to you, Mason, because you've got such a breadth of knowledge, not just with Pokemon, but all of these other TCGs out there. And there's a lot of crossovers, right? There's just so many characteristics that you can see across all these different TCGs. And it's great to have you and to have that background and knowledge to be able to bounce that off of, especially, you know, for me as well, because I'm not well versed on these other TCGs. I can use, like I said, I can use characteristics and things that I've learned in Pokemon to attempt to transition that over to these, but it's always good to get that other side of it and to get that professional opinion. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, every TCG is unique, but at the end of the day, they're all very similar as well. So there are things that apply and some things that do not. And yeah, it takes a little bit to sniff out which is which. But, you know, once you start figuring it out, you're going to be able to take those same ideas and apply it to pretty much anything. And you're going to do well.
Love it, brother. All right, we're going to jump into our last little round here. We're going to get some questions here from the chat, and then see. I told him, I said, hey, we got to throw him hard and heavy at Mason, so we'll see what we got here.
Give me something good, guys. Like I'm feeling energized, feeling good. Kind of more spunky than I usually am. So let's give me some hard stuff.
So we got Secret Nerds coming out first. Says, what would you recommend buying and holding for Evolving Skies? Maybe it's not really specific here, so maybe we'll just go with sealed products. Which sealed products would you recommend?
Sealed products. Okay, that's interesting. So obviously the ETBs have been a huge thing that have been growing in popularity. It's so silly because when ETBs first came out, from a competitive player outlook, you look at ETBs and you're like, that is the dumbest product. Why would people want to pay all that money for a couple packs and all these sleeves and dice, and who is this for? Who wants this? Just give me the packs. But obviously Pokemon, being smarter than us short, lizard brain competitive players, they knew that people would be wanting this stuff if they put popular Pokemon and they make them nice, bright, and colorful, and they make them representative of all the sets. Then yeah, the people are going to eventually catch on and be like, hey, these are cool. These are nice looking. This is pretty hot. I think Evolving Skies could be a set where the amount of return on ETBs outpaces what they do on a booster box.
I agree.
Just as such a display piece, it's probably... I thought the Champions Path ETB was pretty hot, but these might be up there and might be the best looking ETBs. And again, broad appeal. Obviously, Charizard is a powerhouse in his own right, but all the EVs, and you got two different ones, and you can have, people are going to like one over the other, and they're going to want the box that has their favorite on it, and there's just a lot of things at play and a lot of cool stuff that you can do with displaying and stuff like big boxes like ETBs. So I think ETBs are going to do very well. Both, I know people were buying the Pokemon Center ones, but the Pokemon Center does have unique art to them. I think the evolutions are the same with each box, but the design is different. So there should be people out there that want both of them, of both sets, and all 4 of them, and we'll make a nice display of them. And if you don't know what a trading card is, those are nice looking boxes, nice, bright, and colorful. So they're kind of non-offensive. Like maybe a Charizard box would be like, what's that big dragon? That's weird. But yeah, I think ETBs are pretty much the slam dunk product. Hard to lose on that if you can get them for MSRP. It's a no-brainer to me. I think, again, if you look at percentage-wise, I think ETBs may outpace the booster boxes in the long run.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, brother. I'm right there with you. All right, we got one here from Dylan Westra. Maybe you'll know a little bit more about this question, or maybe it's got more significance to you. What do the numbers mean?
Oh, it's a meme of Call of Duty. There's a character called Mason. The numbers mean whether or not you're making money. That's what the numbers mean. So that's what it means.
Okay, means the same thing to me then.
Okay, yeah. The numbers mean pretty much the same thing to everybody. So
okay. Nar on Ice says, Mason, do you feel there is a disparity between collectors and players, and the majority of content creation leaning more towards pack openings, finance, etc., than the TCG itself?
Cool. See, now we're getting into like it's very good, and it's definitely something that you have to worry about catering to when you have a store, because obviously you have both of those things interacting. Throw in the people that are buying older cards and the vintage stuff, and you toss them in the mix. Servicing and catering to all those people is very important. So, yeah, it can be hard to keep it on a level playing field. And yes, the Pokemon is the only TCG where there is far, far, far more collectors than there is players.
Always has been.
There's always
since the beginning.
Always has been.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes. So when people say, like me, that say that you have to have a solid footing in the player aspect of a TCG, like when we were talking about Metazoo, maybe not always the case. I think there's definitely some reason to believe that you have to have both to some extent, but a completely collectible TCG is not unheard of. But it definitely helps, and probably helps your chances along the way to cater to both. But yes, when designing and coming up with Pokemon sets, obviously they take popular Pokemon and make them super powerful in the game. Like I said, that's an obvious no-brainer, makes sense. But all the mechanics and all the things that are good and what they dictate as good is totally for the players. Collectors don't care what the cards say. They don't care that their ability is awesome. They don't care that their HP is, super. Well, maybe sometimes they do. To little kids, HP is everything. So maybe they do care about HP. So, but nobody cares about what the attacks do and whether it confuses somebody or, nobody cares. But when they design these cards and have them look a certain way or have a certain theming and behind the attack names and stuff like that, it's all built into a feel of the set. So yes, I would say that designing the TCG is definitely built towards players, but the collectors are obviously a huge part of it, huge amount of buyers, and I think Pokemon does a pretty good job of catering to both. Their organized play system is awesome, and they do great and have been very supportive of collectors here recently of all the of specialty products, things like the Marnie milk box, milk carton, for example, caters to both, which is kind of unusual. Very good playable card in the TCG, the only way that you can get the full art. And obviously collectors love Marnie and love the character, and it has that kind of price memory of the Japanese version of it. So collectors are going to be after that as well. So they're doing a lot of things right here as far as getting both collectors and players to kind of go after and be hype about the same things. So so far so good, I would say. And have been a lot better than they have been in past years. Because sometimes, sets like Battle Styles, where it's a player's set, those lasted for years. So, yeah.
No, I like that, and I think you're right. I think they're doing, to answer Nar on Ice as well. With it says majority of content creation leaning more towards pack openings, finance, etc., than the TCG itself. It's just kind of, it's always been that way, right? Because it's such, even though the competitive player base it is pretty expansive, it still pales in comparison to the collectors out there. And so I think it's just one of those things that is always going to be that way. It's kind of similar. I would compare it. So I was an athlete for a long time. So I played football, ran track in college. And if you went onto YouTube, let's say you went onto YouTube and you watched football videos, right? You're going to go and you're going to watch like the play, the biggest plays and things like that. You're going to watch games. You're going to do all these things that are really entertaining. Sure. You're less likely. I was actually going on and I was watching videos for training. I was watching things that actually improved my ability as a player in that game. So I think it's kind of comparable to Pokemon, where the people that are watching TCG online, the people that are watching like the actual playing of the card game, are the people that are really into it, the people that are actively playing, versus people that are coming on for the entertainment purposes. And again, that outweighs the number of people that are coming on strictly for the TCG.
No, yeah, and that's not to say that there's not tons of great channels out there that cater to the players. Tricky Jim, Omnipoke, TCG
for sure.
PCCG Radio. He was one of the biggest, and with news and things, and kind of exclusively for players at one point. Collectors probably wouldn't care to hear about most of the stuff that he would have said otherwise. Up until playing stopped, and he kind of had to diversify what he was covering. But yeah, there's tons of great channels out there that talk about playing, and there's definitely a huge base for it. But yes, I think we all know that opening packs is exciting. Everybody's nostalgic for opening packs. People are less nostalgic about playing the game because we all didn't play the game growing up, right? So it makes sense that unless you got into it recently, that playing the game is kind of less featured than opening packs and collecting the cards and all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense. And you go where the views are. So
yeah,
obviously there's people out there that want to see that more. And that's why there's more videos and channels and people tailored to catering to that audience. So
for sure,
it makes sense.
All right, here we go, Mason. We're going rapid fire now. So let's go ahead. Let's get these questions. We're going to get them in. Let's do it in like one sentence or less type of answers.
Okay.
Well, we're going to put you to the test here, my friend. All right, here we go. Do you own any Neopets TCG booster boxes from Wizards of the Coast 2002 to 2003?
No.
None. What modern sealed booster box of Pokemon do you recommend for holding 5+ years for value and fun to open?
You said modern?
Modern sealed booster box of Pokemon you recommend holding 5+ years for value and fun to open.
Hidden Fates. I mean, there is no better set than Hidden Fates.
Yeah, I agree.
Evolving Skies will probably be very close after that, but Hidden Fates is where it's at.
For sure.
It's the best.
Evolving Skies.
Sorry, that's way more than one sentence. Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Evolving Skies or Metazoo short term?
Short term. Oh my God. Dare I say Metazoo?
I'm leaning towards that as well, my friend. Yeah.
Really? You think?
I think so. I think so. And I think because it's so new, the hype, the unknown, like we have like factors that we know, right? With Pokemon, with Evolving Skies, there's a track record there, right? With Metazoo, we don't really know, so there's that. You like
the risky stuff, don't you? You like the risky. You kind of got that risk-taking thing. Okay.
I've been known to dabble a little bit on the risk-taking side.
Yeah. Definitely the more exciting and adventurous person would probably pick Metazoo, but Evolving Skies is pretty safe and pretty pretty easygoing as a solid choice and a safe choice. So.
Oh yeah, definitely more conservative. I agree.
Yes.
All right, Timmy the Carrot. When trading in a portion of my collection to my LGS, what's a realistic percentage to expect for value?
Yeah. So remember, the better your card is, the more you're going to be getting for it in general. We here have a sliding scale. Again, I'm not one sentencing it, but basically you should be expecting for the less expensive stuff, probably closer to something like 40 to 50%. Cards that are 15, 20 up from that, you should be expecting 50 or 60%. We pay up over cards that are worth over $100, 70%. So that is probably super aggressive and probably more aggressive than some places may be. It just depends.
Good deal. All right. It says, Empire of Nostalgia. Would you rather a 2016 Charizard or the original card for a couple hundred more? Oh, wait. No. Sorry. Not a question. Looked like a question. Mason,
well, the original would be the answer, but yeah.
Oh, always. Always. What is the rarest card item in your shop or collection?
Rarest card item? Oh, man. Right now? Crap. I think I have a Mox Diamond out there, which is probably the most expensive card. Yeah, other than like that, yeah, I don't know. I got a couple crystal. I got a crystal Charizard right now. I have a crystal Lugia right now. That's probably like the major heavy hitters that I have. That's in the case out for sale.
You don't got that shining Mewtwo laying around anywhere, do you?
A shiny Mewtwo, the test tube one.
No, not test tube. The Neo Destiny.
Oh, I do not. I don't have one. The original Shining, they don't come in very often, man. They're hard to find.
They do.
No, I wish.
That's my favorite card all time. Locked up,
okay. Awesome.
Safe and sound in the safe deposit box.
Awesome.
All right, Ronnie D, what do you see happening in regard to price of pre-2005 PSA 10 slabs such as Dark Gyarados?
Pre-2005, a weird time frame, but okay. It really depends on what this last big push from PSA is going to do. Some of those cards are going to get absolutely destroyed, and the pop is going to go crazy. Even with commons, uncommons, it doesn't matter what it is. I still think if a card in general just has a higher population of being graded, whether good or bad, it's not good for all the cards. So, yeah, it's going to really depend on this last big, like 5 million plus cards of that PSA has to get through. It really depends on what those numbers are going to look like, and then after that, we'll figure it out from there. Because the era of grading anything and everything is kind of over.
Yeah.
Some people say we'll see, but it's going to be definitely more expensive to grade cards going forward. That's a no-brainer. That's obvious. So we'll see where that lies. And again, the pop report will tell all about how many cards have been added and at what grade things have been. It's hard to say. I can't say for sure.
Yeah, no, those are all good points. So, and one thing that people definitely need to consider, as the price increases, it's going to price out a lot of people. We still have to consider all of the cards that are coming back over this next year or so. That just deluge of graded cards.
Yep.
So, a couple more here. Bo Sutherland, do you think PSA 8 first edition base set holos are worth collecting?
PSA 8's first editions?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. If you think that the other ones are too expensive, why not? Like, if that is your price range and that's what you're comfortable in, go for it. Like, what?
For sure.
That should not be. Don't let the grade of a card dictate how you build your collection.
Mm-hmm.
Buy within your means. Don't blow a bunch of money because you think it's better. So it's got to be. If you want to be more conservative, more reasonable, and that's the kind of money that you have to spend, it's just, don't settle. If you want the higher stuff, go for it, and build your way up to it. Don't just blow a bunch of money, obviously, right off the get go, but just build your way up there. And But if you want PSA 8s and you're happy with the PSA 8 and you're happy with the money saved in doing that, why not buy 7s, buy 6s? You know, whatever makes you happy and you feel like you have a good collection. That's what matters.
No, I totally agree. It's one of the things that I've reiterated a lot on my channel is always investing, collecting, whatever within your means, within your financial means, and however you get to your goal within those means is the way it should be. Because the last thing that you want to do is burn out in this hobby because you've over leveraged, because you've overspent, because you followed the maybe hype or the, what other people are doing, and everybody's at a different level. Everyone's at a different spot in their collecting journey.
Yeah, I mean it's way better to take baby steps up to building up a collection and do that over the course of 10 years. Yeah, you may pay more at the tail end for those cards, but if it's within your budget and within your means of doing so, and it's not going to cause you to burn out and do all those things, then yeah, just take your time. There's no rush.
For sure. Last question here from Imanji11. Do you think Flesh and Blood TCG will survive or eventually fall off?
It really is going to depend. If people believe that it has both collectability and playability. If it does not, then it will probably be fairly short-lived. Most TCGs don't make it, but I think Flesh and Blood is unique. I think it is interesting. I think it has a lot of good stuff going for it that it may just squeak past, even if it's not like the best playability or the best like investment stonker thing to put your money into. I think it still may do very well. It depends on how the company builds out and how they support both collectors and players.
I love that. Wow. Yeah. Very well put. And Mason, I've got one last question for you. We'll go ahead and wrap it up here. 50 years have gone by. All this time, we're in a whole different age. Everything's digital. If there was one TCG out there that would still be around in 50 years, now I told you kind of talked about it a little bit before, 50 years from now, one TCG that you think would still be around, still popular, still relevant, what will it be?
If people, during that time, I would hope that would be Pokemon, just because I think that's awesome. And I loved like the idea of us being in like nursing homes and collecting Pokemon cards. That is very heartwarming to me. But if people look back 50 years from now and say, okay, what was the quintessential TCG? It's going to be Magic. But I would love for Pokemon to still exist in 50 years and people think more fondly of Magic.
I like that. No, I agree with that, actually. I really do agree with that, where I think Magic was the catalyst, right? Magic was the catalyst. He's the granddaddy that sort of brought all of his disciples underneath him. The Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all of these different ones, brought them under, and it's like, all right, I'm going to teach you guys the tricks, and then I'm going to send you out on your own to become your own. What is it in the samurais? I can't remember the actual.
I know what you're talking about too, and I can't. It's been a long. How many hours has it been? We've been at it.
Yeah,
pretty grueling.
But anyways, yeah, that's that. I'm right there with you on it. I'm right there with that sentiment. And Mason, hey man, I truly appreciate you taking the time out. I know you probably had a full day there at the shop, and I know it's late there for you as well. So I appreciate you taking out the time, talking with us. I know everybody in the chat truly appreciates hearing from you and letting them in on all of the knowledge, all the stuff that you've gained over these years. And I certainly appreciate it as well.
I will happily stay up and stay at the shop for a couple more hours to talk to people about TCGs, Pokemon, and all that good stuff. I am more than happy to do so. And anytime, PokéNav, anytime you want me, I can make time for it. So thank you for having me on. Like I said, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody that followed me over and checks out my channel, cardinalgaming.com as well.
For sure. And yeah, just before we let off here, they can obviously find you on your YouTube channel, Cardinal Gaming, social media as well.
Spelled that way, yeah. Yes, Facebook. I got Instagram that I post a lot of weird, quirky stuff on that people kind of like are into. And then obviously we have a physical store in Louisville, Kentucky, but online, nationwide at cardinalgaming.com.
Excellent. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you go subscribe, go follow Mason, go follow Cardinal Gaming. And yeah, again, big thank you to you, Mason. We will see you next time. All of you out there that are listening, watching, thank you so much for joining in. And we will see you guys next time right here on the Pokemon Masterclass. Take care, everybody.